here we are, it's November. We're about 8 weeks away from Christmas. And my gift to you for that beautiful Christmas, that it's going to be 2025. Hopefully you're not watching this like November 2029 or June 2035. Who knows? Hi from the past if it's the case. But now it's November, we're 8 weeks away from Christmas, and I wanted to give you a gift and give you the gift of muscles and give you the gift of getting into Christmas season and getting into your family and your friends' parties and all of that, and proud and confident, and having them tell you like, what have you done? You're jacked. That is my gift to you. To accompany that great gift, you have a PDF available, a blueprint available that will also help you along your next 8 weeks. If you follow that closely, there's still a limit to what your body can do and what your body should do. In about that 8 weeks, you have a couple of options. Ideally, you go on to the leaning option of things. You also have a less leany option, which will get you eventually about 8 pounds from now to Christmas. Mind you, that 8 pounds won't be 8 pounds of muscle. With that will come fat, and this is absolutely normal. So set your expectations right at the beginning. You'll need it, because I don't want you to come to me at the beginning of 2026 and be like, well, it was Christmas and turns out I was 40 pounds overweight. I was fat. I'm sorry, it was not my intention, but it's not what's going to happen, because you'll follow what I say. And if you do, you'll get to Christmas with that great 4 pounds of muscle. It's actually what I'm going to try to do. I'll explain that later into why it's different for me than it is maybe for you, but it is a goal. Now that we know that maybe fat is inevitable, let's go on to the leaner aspect of things. You want to go for 0.25 to 0.5 pounds of weight every single week. Weight. Ideally, that weight will come from muscle, because your body has a limit. We're not, superhuman. I wish we were. But if we were able to do more than that, and if we were able to just eat as we wanted and do whatever we wanted and just gain muscle out of it, I'd be sitting here at 300 pounds of sheer muscle. But my body, as yours, has a limit. And that limit is about 0.25 to 0.5 pounds of muscle a week. If you go past that, you're going to add fat. This is not a catastrophe, but just know that if you go to 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds a week, don't go there. But if you go there, know that the difference from 0.5 to whatever you are at is mostly out of fat. So now how do you know that? Well, you weigh yourself. Very, very simple. And obviously, you want to have a good baseline. So we need to establish a baseline, right? In order to do that, you need to know how many workouts a week, ideally, on average, you'll do. Workout plus cardio and all of this. Obviously, cardio will be different in terms of gaining muscle, because you want to gain weight. If you start to add cardio a lot, then you're going to burn more calories. If you burn more calories, most likely you'll have to eat them as well, because you still want to have a surplus in calorie. That surplus needs to be from around 200 to 300 calories a day. Very basic, very simple. You want to make sure that you have your protein intake right and your protein goal is met, that being 0.828 gram of protein per pound of body weight. 0.8 being the minimum that you want, and a gram being the maximum. But if you go over that, if your kidney is fine, you'll be fine. So it's not a big deal. You can go over, it's good. You'll survive that. But you need that 200 to 300 calorie surplus a day. So again, if you are expecting to work out 4 times a week, but then on the 3 other days, you start running around, you're very active, obviously be very active. But if you're very, very more active and you burn that surplus in calories, and now you eat 2,500 calories, but you burn 2,600, you're in a deficit. So you're going to weigh yourself, and obviously nothing will happen. You'll be like, I'm the same. Well, you're not the same. You're fitter, but obviously you're not necessarily gaining the muscle that you want to gain. So you need to make sure that with all the activities that you're doing, you're eating in that little surplus. Now let's not go crazy. 200, 300 calorie surplus is not big. I don't know if you've ever looked at your calories. Hopefully you did. If you've never looked at your calories, please do that now. Because if you don't do it now, you're not going to get to Christmas with that 4 pounds of muscle because you're going blind into it. There's no wishful thinking in fitness. You need the data. You need to know exactly what you're burning, what you're eating, and make sure that this works. Again, you don't have to go hyper crazy on that. There's apps for it, MyFitnessPal being one. If you tell MyFitnessPal, I'm an active person, man, 5'11", 180 pounds, is going to tell you, well, in order to gain muscle, you need about 2,800 calories. And you'll be like, all right, 2,800. Very, very simple. The math exists. So all you have to do is that basic math equation that's going to give you your baseline. But again, if you've been eating the same amount of things forever and ever and your weight is stable, adding 200 to 300 calories is not a big deal. When I have to do that, the only thing I do is I add granola in my yogurt. Crazy, right? So it's not a lot. It's very actually super simple. I had a discussion this week with a client who wants to do that. The only thing we had to add was a protein bar. I was like, add a protein bar. He thought it was going to be crazy for some reason. I was like, no, add a protein bar. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna look into the split workouts, but now the goal is to know these things. You have to know these things. Please know these things. I have all the tools available if you need anything. The bootcamp is available also. You can get that. It's going to lead you to this. But you need to know what's your energy expenditure, what's the amount of calories you have in order to make that successful. Now for the workouts. Obviously, if you work out 3 times a week, it's different than if you work out 4. And it's different if you work out 5, 6, and 6 should be the max. You shouldn't go past that. Is not necessary. If you work out 1 to 3 times a week, obviously, if you work out once a week, I'm sorry, most likely it's not going to happen. Most likely you're not going to build that 4 pounds of muscle. So pick it back up a bit. Let's get to 3, right? So if you work out 3 times a week, you have 2 options. Option 1, you can do full bodies. Very, very simple. 3 full body workout. That's a very simple option. The second option that you have is to do a upper lower type of workouts. One day you do upper, one day you do lower, upper, and then you repeat so on and so forth. And that's pretty much the only option you have, guys, because other than that, if you have a bro split, if you have a split that is like 3 or 4 different workouts, it's not going to be enough. You're not going to be targeting the muscle enough across a week. It's going to be too much time in between those 2 workouts, so you want to make sure that you do every single muscle group at least once, but ideally twice a week. So this is why upper, lower, and full body are your options. If you go to 4 workouts and 5 workouts and 6 workouts, now you can go into a push-pull leg, or you can go into a push-pull leg arms, or you could do full body. It depends on your preference, but those are the options. You could also do a bro split, but I don't recommend that. I've never done that, and I hate those. When you have a day where you do shoulder, and a day where you do bicep, arms, and a day where you do chest, and a day where you do, I just hate these things. I just hate these things. It's just too much volume on one day and then too much time in between workouts. It's kind of useless. Now, you need to make sure that you're not just going through the motion. So again, data. Guys, start tracking your data. I don't know why people don't do that. It's very simple. Say what I have right here. That is a phone. We live in 2025. Is it not amazing? And again, if you watch this in 2035, you're probably like, what the hell? What's the phone? We don't have that. Everything is powered through our brain and accessible through the ether. I don't know, technology. So it's 2025 right now. And you can track absolutely everything in there. So again, if you don't want to do that, I can do that for you. But you have to do it because you need progressive overload. You need to make sure that every single time that you hit a workout, your progressing. Other than that, if you start now on that process of 4 pounds from now to Christmas and that you don't track anything, you might end up in Christmas and nothing happened. And if you lift the exact same amount today, then you'll lift at Christmas in 8 weeks from now, most likely nothing happened. Most likely, right? You need to have a difference because you need progress. And you need to know exactly for each exercises, what's your rep max or what's your max amount of weight that you can push for X amount of reps. Once you know that, it's very simple. You go to failure or very close to failure. If you reach close to failure every time, you don't have to die under the weight. That is not the point because that will impair your recovery. But if you stay very close to, that capacity, that max capacity, congratulations, you're progressing. It just means that the next time you do the same exact workout, you go back into that thing that we call a phone and you look, what did I do last time? For example, I did dumbbell bench press 12 reps with 100 pounds. Great. I'm gonna grab either 110 pounds, that will push me back to 8 reps, but it's progress, I've done more weight, or I'm gonna grab that 100 pounds and go for 13 reps. And it's that simple. Again, it's simple, guys, it's simple. You add 1 rep or you add some weights. You need to end at Christmas stronger than where you are right now. We've covered food, we've covered the workout. Briefly, I have other videos on that, so go check them out if you want to. They go into more details, but this is like the layout. And now you need recovery. Because again, if you just push a lot, food is part of the recovery, but if you just push a lot and you don't sleep well and your stress is high and you don't do anything for recovery, you're going to crash out before Christmas or you're gonna injure yourself, which I don't want that to happen. Recovery is food, sleep, stress management, water, stretching. We could add that one too, because that is also recovery. You can use your rest days as active recovery, where you're just not only sitting on the couch, but you're moving around, helps the blood go into the body and helps, the muscle recover slightly faster. But what you need to make sure is that you have proper sleep and proper rest, and your stress is managed. We're getting into the end of the year. This is a crazy period of time. It is a highly stressful period of time for many. So just make sure that you have that under control and that you're tracking your sleep. Again with the tracking, guys. And it's not that complicated. You can all do that while watching a Netflix movie. It's not insane. But watch a Netflix movie and track your food and track your workouts and track your sleep while you do that. So you need to track your sleep. You need to make sure that you have what you need to have. For me, 8 hours, 30 minutes. This is what I need for my body to be sure that I'm totally recovered. It's different for a lot of people. Again, average 8 hours. If you have 8 hours of sleep, that's gonna give you a good idea. Best thing is you don't have to wake up with an alarm clock. If you don't have to wake up with an alarm clock, it's just your body naturally getting up, which should be fine and you should be recovered from that. Water, divide your body weight by 2 and that's the amount of ounces you need in a day. Body weight in pounds. So I'm 180, I need 90 ounces of water a day. Simple. But we're moving into what is the most complicated thing. The future. The future is complicated. The future is scary. The future is blind. The future, we don't know what's going on there. And we're all scared of it. And in the future, chaos will appear. And chaos will bestow us. Is that a word? Probably. I just don't know exactly what it means. But chaos is there and it's waiting. And I get that email and that text every single day that, oh my God, it was chaotic. No shit, guys. I think we just need to assume that life is chaotic, right? And we just need to figure out how to manage things around that chaos. So future is chaotic. Future you don't have time. Future you is busy. Future you has Christmas coming up. obviously, and it has a bunch of stuff with family and party and work and end of the year things. And future you don't have time to work out, but this is where you're wrong. Future you have time, because if you tracked everything properly, it means that you know more than most. You know how to figure things out. So you know what the calories you need, you know what the amount of workouts that you need and the intensity that you need to give in those workouts and what those workouts looks like and what a rest day is and what sleep and all of this. If you all have in a nutshell, and you know all of these things, you also probably well aware of time. So you know that you have it. If you don't have it, sit down with me. I bet I can find you 30 minutes. Again, you don't need to work out for an hour. I have another video on that. Check it out. But you don't need to work out for an hour. You just need to work out. In the future, and what's hard about it is consistency. Because now maybe you're like, he's not wrong. I want those 4 pounds of muscle for Christmas. I'm gonna get on this. And then next week, it all fell apart. No, this is not what's happening. You're gonna get there because you know. Future is chaotic. Just don't let that stress you out. Don't let that stop you. You just make sure that you make space for fitness. And this is where everyone fails. They don't make space for it. You need to make time for workouts, and you need to make time for you. And I don't know, it's like, oh, we've heard that before. I know we did, but at least do that till Christmas. At least now this year, before everyone else, before everyone is just like, oh, let me do that for 2026 and it's my resolution. You've beat them. You know, you get to your resolution and you already packed 4 pounds of muscle because you've been consistent with it, because you made time for it. And now you have like a whole football field ahead of someone running a race. You know, you're much more ahead. So please do that. Future is where chaos is. Chaos is crazy. Figure things around chaos, and when it's easy, you'll be like, oh my God, that thing is so simple. So food, workout, sleep, stress, water, recovery, manage chaos. If you do all of that, if you follow the PDF, the blueprint and all, I can almost guarantee you that you're gonna get those 4 pounds of muscle. If you're like me and you've worked out for quite some time now, you might get only 2. You know, because at some point it gets harder and harder and harder to do that process. But if you're only beginning, you're gonna get that 4 pounds, and you'll thank me in 2026 and we'll work together. All right, so have a good day, guys, and I'll see you when you're jacked.